Okay, and we are on. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
We are meeting this morning electronically pursuant to the Governor's Order 16, extended by the Governor's Executive Order number 65. Welcome to everyone. I'm going to have Miranda, she's on the phone. I'm going to call the roll just so we have an attendance. When I call your name, please say aye if you understand that we're meeting electronically and you are here. Mr. Hager. Dr. Carter.
Aye.
Ms. Treese.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Ms. Simpson.
Aye.
And I'm Kathy Hall, and we are all here. I hope shortly to have Lee Patterson on the Zoom meeting, but our purpose this morning is to meet to discuss our policy on public input at the beginning of our meetings and adding items to the agenda. So appearing before the board and adding items to the agenda. Just a little background. In the past, we've had a policy that we have not always followed very closely, and it's gotten very casual. And since we've started broadcasting our meeting, I think that might cause some trouble. So I just wanted us to meet this morning to go over this policy to make sure it's fair, to make sure we're allowing public input on things that we're discussing. And we'll go from there as soon as Ms. Patterson is on. Miranda, is she coming?
She should be.
Did everyone receive a copy of the policy? And this is just a starting point. We are certainly are planning on having a discussion. Lee and I have both worked with Tennessee School Boards Association to see what other systems do and what might be appropriate for us, and really to look at what we had in motion before this.
What's going on?
Kathy, are we able to share the screen so that the policy can be in the minutes and be recorded?
I'm not able to. And Melanie, if you can unmute, is Lee able to share her screen?
I don't think so. I can, if you'll tell me what the policy number is.
Yeah, so she's got a proposed one that has some markups on it. If I email it to you, can you do it?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do that.
Or you can make her the host, I do believe. Whoever's in charge of this one can make Lee the host.
But Lee might not have that ready to go.
I think, I agree.
I'm not seeing her in yet. I may just bring her up here to my office.
Okay. And I'm looking.
I'm gonna step over there.
I'm forwarding Melanie this right now.
You have a limited amount of game time. Okay, you can't play all day, so just be aware.
There we go.
believe that was a device, home device issue. So she'll be on in just a moment.
Okay.
All right. Where am I? I'm sharing the screen. So do what? Okay. I think I'm here.
Okay, we can't see you, I don't think.
Melanie, I'm in Melanie's office. Mine wouldn't. Now what's happening?
You're on, Lee.
Okay. I can't see me, which is probably a good thing. So.
All right, Lee, I've introduced the topic, and I've talked about how we, put this as a starting place to make sure that we're being fair and allowing input during our meetings, and then I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Well, actually, Kathy did a lot of the groundwork on this policy by contacting TSBA, and they did some research for us about whether or not it was legal and prudent to limit the speakers at our board meetings. The first thing I want to make clear, and I've talked to Beth about this, is that board meetings are not an open forum. You all, when you have a board meeting, by allowing the public to speak, it's a courtesy to the public. If there's an issue that you believe is of the importance that you need lots of public comment, then you have a meeting specifically for that purpose. It's been many years ago, but when we were doing redistricting, and Mr. Hager can speak to this, we held public forums across the city at different schools to give people who were interested an opportunity to come and speak. So if there is a topic or an issue or something controversial that you all are undertaking to vote on or to discuss, then anybody can say, I think we need to have a public forum, and people can come and speak on that topic. So, again, a meeting, a regular board meeting is a board meeting. It's not a public forum. And what you're doing by giving people the opportunity to speak is just being considerate, and it's not necessarily required. I had another thought and it just left me. Sorry, you all. I'm not used to being at work at 8 o'clock in the morning. So,
Lee, I think probably one of the other things that we talked about is also, if there's something that people want to speak about that is not on the agenda, we always have the ability to put it on the agenda.
absolutely. Yes, you do. You do have the ability to put it on the agenda. I know the other thing I was going to say. Your constituents have the opportunity to talk to you in person. They can call you, they can email you, they can write letters to you, they can contact Dr. Barnett. So, there are multiple opportunities for conversation. What in a board meeting, though, is not the place always to have those. And so I think that's the other thing you need to remember. And, so yeah, those are very important points.
Lee, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
So, of course, with all of this COVID, I think we all are getting emails from people, and some of them are addressed Michelle Treese. Some of them I know, but I do not respond to any of those. I think a student that came to one of our meeting one time, he said thank you. He was, a very pleasant email, and I responded back to him saying it was good to see students involved. That was it. But what should we do, or how?
Well, Your code of ethics and your policies require you, if a constituent brings a concern to you, then you are supposed to go to Dr. Barnett with it.
Right. Okay.
So
So
that's
we,
what you're supposed to do with it. Now, what I would do if I were you is say, thank you, I've noted your concern.
okay.
I have sent it on to the appropriate administrator.
Okay. That's what I do, but I've never replied back. And I always feel bad because,
You can reply
nature.
back by saying, I've gotten your concern, I take
Okay.
it seriously, I've turned it over to the correct administrator.
perfect.
You should be hearing from them. If you don't, get back in touch with me and I will continue to follow up with the
Okay.
administrator.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Yeah, and so the policy that we that is proposed, actually, after I talked to Beth last night, I was thinking about we do limit it to persons who are currently enrolled or have children currently enrolled in Johnson City schools, are employed by the system, or are residents of the city. And then I started thinking, well, there may be somebody who's not a resident of the city, but who owns property in the city and therefore pays city property taxes. So we might want to include in there a bona fide taxpayer or a property owner or something along those lines so that those people aren't excluded. The case law does say that you can limit the speakers at your board to those that are city residents. If you want it to be a little bit broader, you could do that, so to say taxpayers as well.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. And I think, we might say something like bona fide or verified or something like that. So somebody can't just come in and say, yeah, I'm actually a taxpayer when they're not.
Probably need to clarify like a property taxpayer because a lot
True,
of people
yes,
pay
you're
sales
exactly right.
tax in
Yes,
the
yes.
city.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, and that's the conversation that Dr. Barnett and I had earlier. If you say taxpayers, well, lots of people come into Johnson City to shop, so they could be from anywhere. So yes, I think you're exactly right, Ms. Simpson. It needs to be property tax.
And the purpose of putting this clause in is just to make sure that we're communicating with people that really have a concern that are concerned with the school system and have skin in the game, so to speak.
Exactly. Yes.
And again, now that we are broadcasting, we might be attracting other people that just would like to be on camera sometimes.
Yes.
And I would also, like to add that we need to kind of verify those before the board meeting so we don't get in a situation like we were the last meeting. So the purpose of that registration, now I know when we allow the 30 minutes for the open discussion, that's different, but if they go through that form, we need to verify all that before we put them on the agenda to speak.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the purpose of having it due by noon the day of the meeting, so that if there is any question about that people here in central office can verify it, and then we can be prepared, to and not wait until the board 5 minutes before the board meeting to say, oh, by the way, you can't talk. We can take care of it beforehand.
And the other thing, which I think was a valid point that the community made, is the third to the last paragraph. I think that's fine to have obviously their address on that admission or submission form, but I am not in favor of a community member stating their address publicly, especially, it's a safety issue. I'm not for that.
Oh.
Yeah, I
For
think
that
we've already made
Okay,
that
it's
change.
still in there, yeah. The third paragraph from the bottom on the second page. So, sorry, it's on, that's how it shows up on my email. Let me see which, I think it's the third from the one that's individual speaking to the board. That's how, so on this one, let's see, it is the second paragraph from the bottom.
Yeah, yes, you're right. We do need to
Yeah,
Um,
okay,
so-
you're exactly right. I'll adjust that right now. Thank you for catching that.
So do we want to say, instead of address, what their affiliation is to the school system,
I think that's a very good,
whether they're a parent, city resident, et cetera?
Employee, yep.
yes, I've got that change right there. Um,
And Ginger, you said something, I just want to make sure that it's clear. The 30 minutes is for people that have signed up ahead of time.
Okay.
So it's,
Okay. This- Where we had that question at the last board meeting about, you know, kind of this open invitation. So that 30 minutes is for any, they still have to sign up and it's okay.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that just means that you will allow 30 minutes, you know, if there are a lot of people, you're only going to devote 30 minutes to this in total. So you could have 10, well, you know, 10 3-minute speakers. And again, you know, let me stress that if it's such,
How many days?
go ahead. Mr. Hager, are you talking?
Thank you, Tom. I love you, baby.
Oh, if it's a big enough issue or, you know, important enough that there are, you know, 200 people wanting to speak, then at that point in time, you probably should have a public hearing type meeting.
and I think we did that with the graduation
Yes. Yeah.
question a few years ago. We decided to devote a meeting to that.
Yes. Any other questions, concerns? I know, Beth, you and I had talked last night. There was another issue that you had that we discussed that you wanted to.
I feel like you covered them all. I'm trying to
Okay.
remember if there was something else.
I am
um,
too.
I think you really covered all the things I asked about, so I think we're
Okay.
good.
Okay.
So one quick question I have, if I am a member of the community and I want to speak to the board, I will go online. Do I dig through this policy to find out what do I need to do to speak before the board? Or is there something on our webpage that's up front and forward that says this is what you need? Because I wonder if people are going to be a little confused about.
We have
minutes.
changed the form to match what's required by this policy, and we will put a link on the webpage to that. And I think Melanie's here right now, and we can do an appearance before the board form or whatever it's called. And
So the other attachment, Michelle, was request to address the Johnson City Board
Right.
of Education. And that really,
Right.
that is a link on there, and that really, I think, lays out
Okay,
what you need to know.
good. I just wondered if people would get confused about, I got 30 minutes to talk. It says so in the policy. First, and how do the delegations must select only one individual to speak? Is that emphasized on that form as well, so that,
Yes.
okay, perfect.
And it also has we've changed it from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. I think we agreed at our last meeting that 5 minutes was a long time to speak. So and this way you can get as many voices as possible in that 30 minutes.
The other thing is that your policy 1.600 allows you to, by affirmative vote of a 2/3 majority of the board, you can waive the second reading limitation and take immediate action to adopt a new policy. So if this is on the board meeting in January, you can vote to just have it be adopted on one reading, and it can go into effect. And I know the other thing Beth and I talked about last night is that this is not the first time that we have had at board meetings have had people show up to talk about matters that weren't appropriate, that wasn't the appropriate time, place, or forum. We've had people that that have shown up to try and talk about personnel matters and other things. So, you know, if people say, well, you're just doing this because of what's happened in the last couple of meetings, that's not necessarily true. I do think it brought it to a head. We've had discussions before about limiting speakers. So this is not just in reaction to the last board meeting, although again, I think it just pushed to the forefront the fact that things need to be changed, you know, and times change. Times are changing, and people are, you know, have different approaches to different things, as we all know and see in the news every day. And again, it's your meeting, and you can control it.
I do have one question. So on the form that's up there, I've quit looking at my email. I'm going to look at what the screen share. So the third paragraph from the bottom, because I do think it's important to have this this workaround. The chairman may recognize individuals who wish to address the board who have not been previously signed the required form if he determines that such is in the public interest. And then, of course, it says you can overrule the decision of the chairman with a simple majority vote. So is it necessary to, okay, so I think that's important and that we need that. But when the public reads that, they could, you know, I also don't want a line of 10 people up there saying, well, because of this paragraph, will you vote me to, how are we going to address and identify that particular person that we may allow to speak that's not filled out the form? Do you think that's going to be an issue? I've been at board meetings before where that got a little heated several years ago. So do we need to define how those people will be identified, or?
That's a good question. I think part of it is practice, and because we haven't had a lot of people addressing the board, and if someone shows up and they really want to, we've allowed them to do that. But I think by practice, if we do what's that should be the exception to the rule.
Yes, I agree.
So in practice, we will not recognize people. However, if there's a topic and we decide that there are people in the audience that we would like to hear from, or that it's appropriate to hear from on something that is on our agenda, then we can always call them up.
Yeah, and I think, you know, what you don't want to have happen is for somebody to make that determination, you know, just right then. I think, you know, you should probably would be aware of that beforehand. I would think that if somebody thought it was important enough, you know, or if it was an emergency, that it wouldn't be a secret, that they would let one of the board members know, and, you know, let Dr. Barnett know, or Ms. Hall know. So, you know, and if it does become an issue or a problem, or, you know, a bone of contention, you can always, you know, adjust your policy to take care of that.
So I have another question. Will this form be digital and that folks can fill it out online and submit it back to our office online? Or is this a walk in, pick up a form, fill it out and turn it in type thing?
That's probably a Dr. Barnett question, but I would think that if they fill it out digitally and submit it, we would certainly accept it. You know,
It is. We accept that. That's how it's been done.
So it's all online?
For a while. It's online. If someone calls the board secretary, calls the office, we'll send it to them. They can get it back. They need to fax it in to us. We'll do that.
Okay.
So we try to be as accommodating as we can be, but there will not be the paper forms at the door anymore. It'll be if someone walks in the day before that morning of a meeting, then we will give them the form. They can fill that out. Then we're able to verify the information on it and verify that it's something that follows this policy.
But if I click the link on our website, I'm able to fill this out electronically and send it in.
Yes.
I don't have to go find a fax machine.
Correct.
Lee, just procedurally, you talked about the first reading. Can we vote today and make this the first and only reading of this policy, and it's in effect in January?
I don't know what the notice for this meeting said.
Miranda, were we noticed for action? I believe we tried to make it so that we could do that, but let's check for sure.
What's your question?
Were we noticed for action for this? What did the notice for this meeting say?
We were noticed, and it did list that I revised it. It's electronic, and the link's posted on our website.
Did it say that we would review and take action on the policy?
It said we would. The purpose of the meeting was to discuss the policy regarding appearance before the Johnson City Board of Education.
Yeah, I don't
No, we didn't.
know. Yeah, that it would be, you'd be able to take action. So it's probably going to have to be at the next board meeting, unless you want to
Okay.
call another board meeting, but.
No.
Yeah, and you could have this at your very first,
Item.
yes, and then have the comments after that. And, we could, if that's your plan, then Miranda could let people know who want to speak at the board that that's going to happen, so nobody would be taken off guard or caught off
Okay.
guard.
And can we put this new form up already?
Yeah, the form, we can, although the form, yeah, I think we can.
The form's not part of the policy, so we can
Exactly,
we can
yeah,
make a
yeah.
change to the, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one more thing, I think we need to change some of the pronouns there. There's some he's in there, and we may need to drop chairman and just make it chair.
So-
We
Or
have
is that-
always, go ahead, Kathy.
I was going to say, throughout all of our policies, we use he.
Do we want to step up to the 2020?
Well, I think I think there is a statement in there somewhere that he will be used as the pronoun just for ease of reading.
If there's no other discussion, I'll make a motion to approve the policy as amended. I think we did make an amendment today to it, and to approve it at the first reading in our January
Or
meeting.
to have the first reading at the beginning of the meeting.
I'll
I don't
second
want to
that.
put words in your mouth. Is that where you were headed?
Yes.
Okay, was that a second?
Yes.
Miss- Okay. Any other discussion?
Let me clarify the digital piece of this. Generally, what people have done is they call Miranda Bird, and or they call the district office, and we walk them through this. We'll get that hyperlink up where they'll have the capability to send that in electronically, but she'll still have to verify that information, or we will. People have generally filled that out, emailed it in instead of faxing or anything like that. So we are receiving electronic copy, but it's via email. So we'll work on that hyperlink and see what we can do to get that where it can be typed in and sent in to Mrs. Bird.
I think the easier we can make it for people that want to speak to us on something on the agenda, the better. Any other discussion?
I have
Everyone
one
understand?
more comment.
Mm-hmm.
These 8 o'clock Friday morning meetings. Whew.
Hey, it was better. I suggested 7. Lee.
Well, you would have seen me in my pajamas at that point.
That's okay. It's Zoom. You can be in your PJs.
Ah.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. And I believe we do this by roll call. Miranda, you want me? I'll call the roll. Mr. Hager. Dr. Carter. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Treese.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Ms. Simpson.
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Okay, well, we will get this ready and it will be on your agenda for the next board meeting.
And we'll approve it or we'll vote on it on first reading. Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, everyone. And once again, Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Yes.